The sound of laughter shattered the quiet hum of the restaurant like glass against tile. For a fleeting moment, everything seemed ordinary. Warm lights reflecting off wine glasses, clinking cutlery, the low murmur of conversation. Then, midway through her laughter, Maya's breath hitched. Her hand froze halfway to her mouth, her smile collapsed, and the color drained from her face. Across the room, by the window where the light turned everything golden, sat Ethan. Her Ethan. The man who once said she was the only home he'd ever need. He was leaning forward, listening intently to the woman across from him. Their hands were too close, too familiar. It wasn't just the proximity. It was the look, that quiet, gentle look Maya once believed was reserved only for her. And just like that, 9 years of love, routine, and quiet faith began to crack. The voices around her blurred into meaningless noise. Someone asked if she was okay, but the words felt far away, muffled under the roaring in her ears. She set down her glass carefully, afraid the trembling in her hand might give her away. She tried to breathe, slow, shallow pulls of air, but her chest refused to expand. "I'll be right back," she murmured, forcing a smile so brittle it could have splintered. Her friends didn't question it. Maya was the steady one, the composed one, the one who always had it together. They'd never guess she was about to fall apart in a restaurant bathroom. Inside the dim restroom, she locked the door and pressed both hands against the sink, meeting her reflection. Her eyes were wide, unblinking. Her pulse drummed in her throat. It could be nothing, she told herself. Coworker, client, someone he's mentoring. But the voice inside, the one she'd ignored too many times before, whispered otherwise. "You've felt this coming, haven't you? The late nights, the distant looks, the way he stopped reaching for her in bed." She had buried every sign under excuses. He's stressed. He's tired. Or just growing up. Now, staring into her reflection, denial finally began to taste like ash. When she returned to the table, her friends were chatting about a weekend trip. She laughed where she was supposed to, nodded at the right times, but her focus stayed fixed across the restaurant. Ethan leaned closer to the woman. Brunette, soft smile, maybe early 30s. She wore a delicate gold bracelet, the kind Ethan would notice. Maya waited for him to see her, for their eyes to meet and break this strange, painful illusion. He didn't. The woman touched his wrist. He didn't pull away. Something inside Maya snapped quietly, like a thread too thin to hold weight any longer. By the time she left the restaurant, her friends' goodbyes felt hollow. She barely remembered how she got to her car. The night air was thick, damp, pressing against her skin. She gripped the steering wheel, staring through the windshield. Ethan's car was parked a few rows away. The woman was laughing again, brushing her hair behind her ear as she followed him to the driver's side. Maya's breath stilled when he opened the door for her, the small, instinctive act he used to do for her without thinking. And then she saw it. His hand resting on the small of the woman's back, guiding her in. It was such a tiny gesture. Tender. Practiced. Intimate. That was all it took. She didn't confront him that night. She drove home in silence, parked in the dark, and sat there listening to the clock tick inside the house. Every second felt heavier than the last. At 11:47, the door creaked open. Ethan entered quietly, as if sneaking into someone else's life. "You're up?" he asked, setting down his keys. Maya's voice was calm, too calm. "Where were you?" He blinked, surprised. "I told you the client dinner ran late." She nodded slowly. "Who was the client?" Rebecca. From marketing." Rebecca. The name fell between them, a neat little lie dressed in familiarity. "I saw you," Maya whispered. His eyes darted up. "What do you mean?" "At La Corsa. With her." "Was. Too long. Too careful." "Maya, it's not what you think." "Then what is it, Ethan?" She hadn't planned to raise her voice, but it tore out anyway. Raw, trembling, uncontrollable. "Tell me what exactly I'm supposed to think when my husband's hand is on another woman's back like she's yours." His silence was an answer. He sat down, rubbing his temples. It wasn't planned. I didn't mean for it to happen. Didn't mean for what to happen. Ethan's voice broke. We just connected, okay? I was lonely, Maya. You've been distant for months. She laughed, a sharp, broken sound. I've been distant because you've been gone, Ethan. Even when you're here, it's like living beside a ghost. He flinched. I didn't want to hurt you. Then why did you? He looked up, and for the first time, she saw guilt and longing tangled together. Because she made me feel seen again. Those words landed like a knife twisting in her gut. For a long time, neither of them spoke. The clock ticked. The fridge hummed. Outside, a stray dog barked. Finally, Maya said softly, 9 years, Ethan. 9 years of choosing each other. And this is how it ends. He shook his head helplessly. I don't want it to end. She looked at him then, really looked. The same face she'd memorized, the same voice she'd fallen asleep beside countless nights, and felt a hollow grief so deep it almost numbed her. You already ended it, she whispered. You just didn't have the courage to say it out loud. The next morning, Ethan was gone before sunrise. His side of the closet looked strangely bare. He hadn't taken everything, just enough to leave silence where laughter once lived. Maya sat at the kitchen table, tracing the ring mark his coffee cup always left on the wood. The house felt too large now, echoing with memories that refused to fade. Her phone buzzed, a text from Ethan. Sorry. I never stopped loving you. I just forgot how to love you right. Her thumb hovered over the screen. For a moment she wanted to reply, to ask if there was still something left to salvage. But she knew. Some things once cracked don't break cleanly. They splinter quietly and endlessly. She deleted the message. That evening, she met her friends again at the same restaurant, determined to pretend for a while. They laughed, ordered wine, talked about work and travel and everything that didn't hurt. Then, just as she started to feel human again, the door opened. Ethan walked in with her. Maya froze. This time, though, there was no shock, only a strange, quiet clarity. She raised her glass, smiled faintly, and turned back to her friends. For the first time in 9 years, she didn't look back.